Imagine this. One single server tucked away in a government building, silently humming along. Now, imagine that with a single command, that one machine becomes a Trojan horse, handing over the keys to an entire nation's digital kingdom. This isn't a movie plot. This is the chilling, true story of how a country's most sensitive data was stolen right from under its nose. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most audacious cyber attacks in history. A digital heist so perfectly executed, it's almost unbelievable. It all began with something deceptively simple, a phishing email. Not to a high-level minister or a top general, but to a mid-level employee. The email looked legitimate, maybe a routine software update or a message from IT. The employee clicked a link, entered their credentials, and just like that, the first domino fell. The attackers were in, but they didn't make a sound. They didn't trip any alarms. For months, they moved silently through the network, like ghosts in the machine, mapping out the digital infrastructure, learning the systems, and identifying their ultimate prize. What was that prize? They were looking for the crown jewels of the government's data infrastructure. In many countries, government services are increasingly integrated. Think about it. Your tax records, your health information, your driver's license, your property deeds, and even national security data are all becoming interconnected for efficiency. The hackers knew this. They weren't interested in grabbing scattered files. They wanted the master key. They were hunting for the server that authenticated and managed access to all the other servers. They were hunting for the ghost server. This wasn't just any server. It was the digital equivalent of a building's master key card. With access to it, you don't need to pick individual locks. You can just waltz through any door you want. The hackers meticulously worked their way up the privilege ladder. They started with that one employee's compromised account, then used that access to find another vulnerability, and another, and another. Each step was a small, calculated move, designed to be invisible to a standard security scan. It was a patient, methodical ascent, a masterclass in covert digital infiltration. After months of lurking in the shadows, they found it, the ghost server. It was an unassuming machine, but it held the power to grant administrative access across the entire government network. The moment they gained control of this server, the game changed. It was no longer about sneaking around. It was about owning the entire system. From this single point, they could see everything. They could access intelligence reports, police records, citizen data, financial transactions, and diplomatic communications. An entire nation's secrets were laid bare. The exfiltration phase began. This is the process of actually stealing the data. You might imagine a massive, obvious download that would set off alarms. But again, their methods were far more sophisticated. They didn't pull gigabytes of data in a single burst. Instead, they siphoned it out in tiny, encrypted packets, disguised as normal network traffic. These data packets were sent out slowly, over weeks, to to a complex network of servers spread across the globe, making them almost impossible to trace. It was like emptying a swimming pool with a teacup, one scoop at a time. By the time anyone noticed the water level was low, the pool was already half empty. The discovery happened by accident. A system administrator, performing a routine check, noticed a minor anomaly login at an unusual time from a familiar-looking administrative account. It was a tiny thread, something that could have easily been dismissed. But this administrator was thorough. They pulled on the thread, and the entire elaborate tapestry of the attack began to unravel. Panic set in. The security teams realized this wasn't just a minor breach. It was a complete and total compromise. They were locked in a battle for control of their own network against an enemy who knew the system better than they did. The attackers had embedded themselves so deeply that simply kicking them out was impossible. It was like trying to remove a parasite that had woven itself into the very organs of its host. Every time the security team closed one back door, the hackers opened another. They had left themselves multiple entry points, hidden tools, and logic bombs set to erase their tracks, or even sabotage the system if they felt cornered. The government was faced with a horrifying choice: shut down the entire national digital infrastructure, causing chaos, or try to fight a losing battle against an invisible enemy. The fallout was catastrophic. Public trust in the government plummeted. How could citizens trust their leaders to protect the country when they could even protect their own data? The economic impact was staggering, as the nation had to spend billions rebuilding its entire digital infrastructure from scratch. Assuming everything was compromised, the diplomatic ramifications were equally severe. Stolen diplomatic cables and sensitive negotiations were now in the hands of a hostile actor who could use them for blackmail or to undermine the country on the world stage. So, who was behind it? While definitive attribution in cyberspace is notoriously difficult, digital forensics experts and intelligence agencies pointed the finger at a well-known state-sponsored hacking group. This wasn't the work of a few rogue hackers in a basement. The resources, patience, and sophistication involved screamed state-level involvement. It was an act of cyber warfare, a strategic move to weaken a rival nation without firing a single shot. The Ghost server attack served as a brutal wake-up call for governments worldwide. It proved that the battlefields of the 21st century are not just land, sea, and air, but also cyberspace. This event fundamentally changed the way we think about national security. It highlighted that a nation's strength is no longer just measured by its military, but by its digital resilience. Governments began pouring resources into cybersecurity, understanding that a firewall can be as important as a battleship. The concept of zero-trust architecture, where no user or device is trusted by default, became a new standard. The lesson learned was a harsh one. In the digital age, you are only as strong as your weakest link, and the consequences of a single click can be devastating. The story of the Ghost server is a cautionary tale for our hyper-connected world. It shows how fragile our digital lives are, and how much we rely on the unseen infrastructure that powers our society. It's a reminder that behind every screen, every app, and every online service, there are servers holding our most valuable information. And somewhere out there, others are constantly trying to get in. It's a silent, ongoing war, and this was one of its most defining battles. Thanks for watching. This story really shows how critical cybersecurity has become. What are your thoughts on this? Let me know in the comments below. And if you found this deep dive fascinating, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more true stories from the digital frontier. Stay safe out there.